Okay, so I'm going to be going over the latest reveal of Azamina stuff from Supreme Darkness. Super quick refresher, if you're not up to date, Azamina LZ of the White Forest was revealed in the last reveal for White Forest Azamina, and this card is actually super relevant. I'd shown some gameplay before, so if you want to see that, you can go and look at it with Azamina LZ. And this card now finally bridges properly the Wanted / Azamina cards and the White Forest stuff. So what I have been doing in Rota so far is the bridge. There isn't really like a true bridge unless you open Toy Box, because if you box Set, Tank, and Soldier, and which sends the Soldier, then because you control Box, when Soldier comes back, he can search the Sylvie, for example. And so it does bridge you into Engine, but only in that particular situation. But if you have Azamina LZ, then debatably you don't even need the toy cards anymore. You could still play them. I think you can play the deck with a single Deception, and so you could make, a couple other adjustments and maybe even go up to 42, and you could still fit in the Toy Box Engine. But now we have not only the Azamina LZ, we also have a couple other cards. So let's go through the 5. First, we have Snake Eye's Dam Dragon. So the fusion materials are a Snake Eye monster and an Illusion monster. It must either be fusion summoned, in which case those are the materials, or special summoned by sending 2 face-up monster cards from your spell and trap zone to the graveyard. Now, these do not have to be these requirements. This is for the fusion summon. For the special summon, which is a completely separate summoning mechanic, it's just 2 face-up monster cards from your spell and trap zone. Now, this is unfortunate that they have to be face-up, because if it didn't have to be face-up, you could obviously just box Set, Tank, Set, Soldier, send those to the grave, bring this out, and immediately pressure your opponent, and also chain block with the toy stuff. And that would be an insane way that you could start your turn if you drew box. But they do have to be face-up, so you can't do that. If this card is special summoned, so this is a trigger effect, you can target a face-up card on the field, place it face-up in its owner's spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. And this is once per turn. So we already had this card, which does the same thing, and some people were trying to main one of these going so for game 1, if they happen to go second, they would have another target that was aggressive for the Wanted package, and then if you went first, though, it was kind of mediocre because you didn't actually want to draw this, and so it was kind of like a brick if you went first. Now, what's interesting about this is I wonder if it makes sense to try to put a Snake Eyes package into the deck. And normally when you're deck building, you're not supposed to put in a million different engines. You want your deck to do exactly the same thing reliably every single turn, and preferably through multiple interruptions as well. So often putting in multiple engines stops you from doing that because you don't really have true extenders. I will test that and see if that makes any sense. We do now have a way to fusion summon, for example, and yeah, so I don't know, might not be relevant for us at all. Could be super indirect support in the end. Then we have Kick-Ass Goblin Bikers. Actually, I'm not going to cover this because this is not relevant for us. So the Azamina cards now. Queen of the Azamina, aka Garbage Can of the Azamina. So this is a Dark Illusion effect monster, 2500, 2000, and this card is always treated as a Sinful Spoils card. Let me actually just double check. Does this add a spell or trap? Yeah, it adds a spell or trap specifically, so you can't search it. Wait. This one only adds the Abelstar, right? So wait, is there even a way, add an Azamina card from your deck to your hand? So is there a way besides Deception to search this, or is it only Deception? Maybe it's only Deception or Hard Draw. So when your Azamina or White Forest monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, so you'll already know that this is trash, you can target one Sinful Spoils spell or trap in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Like, bro, what? So I guess this is supposed to be like the analog to Diabel, which is also a level 8, except Diabel's actually good and not garbage. And then it says, if this card is sent to the graveyard or banished from your hand or field by an activated effect, you can special summon this card. But what I don't understand is Deception tributes as cost. So Deception wouldn't even trigger this. And then the Witch, for example, you can special summon this card from your hand by sending a card from your hand or field to the graveyard. You see how there's no colon or semicolon? So this is not an effect. This is an inherent summon that just happens to have something like a cost. So what are you even triggering this with? This is trash. Okay, this is trash. Don't worry about that. That's trash. Okay, so then we have Saint Azamina and Azamina Unleashing. Saint Azamina is a level 10 Dark Illusion Fusion Effect monster, 0 attack, 4,000 defense. So this requires a level 6 or higher fusion monster and a level 6 or higher synchro monster. So obviously, technically, we can make this because our deck does make level 6 or higher synchros, and then the Azamina stuff is obviously level 6 or higher fusion monsters. Your opponent cannot target this card, cards they control, and cards in their graveyard and banishment with card effects. Also, they take any battle damage you would have taken instead. If this card was fusion summoned this turn, quick effect, you can special summon one level 9 or lower Azamina monster from your deck or extra deck. You can only use this effect of Saint Azamina once per turn. Worth mentioning that this does not count as a fusion summon. Normally, the Azamina fusion stuff, like Hallowed, counts as a fusion summon, and I think Debtors also counts as a fusion summon. Yes, this also counts as a fusion summon, and this one doesn't. And the reason that that's relevant is, so Sol, for example, if this card is fusion summoned, you can target a card on the field, send it to the graveyard. So Saint Azamina, aka Saint Trash, does not even trigger your own Sol. Like, you're bringing, this is your own archetype card that can bring out Sol, and it's not even going to trigger the send? Why? So, then this one, the Murcielago, so this one says, if this card is fusion summoned, which this doesn't do, then it gets the search for the Azamina or the Sinful Spoils card. So why would you do this to me? And then the other one is the only one that you can use, because this one just says, when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can tribute this card and negate the effect. It doesn't say tribute this fusion summoned card. So Ilia Sylvia is the only one of the main ones that you use that will actually work off of that. Moa Regina, you can target an illusion monster in your graveyard, except itself, special summon it. When an Azamina or Sinful Spoils card or effect is activated, except itself, you can target 2 cards in the field, destroy them. Okay, so this one actually also will be able to work. But this is the hardest one to make normally. So let me think for a second, okay? Because I haven't tested these, because I read these and I was so disappointed, so I didn't test them. A level 6 or high... See, the materials to make this are just so absurd. Why would I ever want to do this? Like, because you could argue, oh, well, you have the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, where you can fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material. And it's like, okay, so you're telling me that I'm going to put, like, a level 6 or higher synchro monster on the field, and also an Azamina card, not including Ilia Sylvia, because you can't use the negate first and then use it as material, because this tributes itself, so it will be in the grave. It won't be on your field or hand. You'd have to have, like... How would you even do this? This is stupid. Like... I mean, there are, obviously you can do it. I'm not saying you can't do it, but like, it's just annoying. Why do I have to do this? Why do they have to be these levels? Why can't I banish from the grave to do it? That would be good. But I will say that the pseudo floodgate effect, I think, is not bad. The thing about not targeting, because there are a lot of decks that actually do target a lot of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I guess, and the other thing is that, you know, the more stuff that you put into this extra deck, the less space you have. The cool thing about White Forest initially is that you could get away with like 3 extra deck monsters. It was just Diabel, Arciela, and Silvera. And everything else was, you know, based on what other engines you were playing, or maybe you were, you know, you had the Zapper Shrimp and some level 10, like the Chaos Angel, you were going to play off a Diabel. And even in that case, it would be like, what, 3, 4, 5 cards max with a Zapper Shrimp target. But now... the extra deck is often so full, especially if you're on the Closed Heaven stuff, which is really, really good with the Azamina engine, that it's just like hard to justify this stuff if you're not even going to be able to summon it very often. So, you know, and then the other thing is, like, if you're saying like, okay, you want to do this to bring out Moa Regina, I mean, how often are you going to be able to resolve this? Because it's when an Azamina or Sinful Spoils card or effect is activated, but you normally would have already used all of your effects to get this on field. Then you can, you know, in the following chain link, actually, bro, listen, because this says when, all right, what that means is that if you activate an Azamina card, okay, your opponent has priority to add the next link to the chain. So let's say you activate Sinful Spoils of Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils, okay? So let's say you set up your combo in a way to where you had set this card to activate it in their turn just to trigger your Moa Regina, okay? So you activate Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils. It's your opponent's turn. Okay, they have priority to add to the chain link, and they know that you have the Moa Regina on field, okay? They're looking at it and reading it, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go chain link to anything. Chain link to Moki Moki, okay? Now, chain link 3, you can't use Moa Regina because that's not what's happening. When means that that's the last thing that had to have happened. So this is trash, okay? Anyhow, let's move on to Azamina Unleashing, which probably has the most potential out of all of these cards. So this card is an Azamina card, obviously, because it's in the name, but it's also a White Forest card because it says so. So this is Queen of the Azamina, who's trash, and is that Diabelle's? I think that might be Diabelle's. Wait, get me out of here. Why can't I go back? Okay, there we go. So, target cards on the field up to the number of fusion and synchro monsters, but they have to be Fiend, Illusion, and Spellcaster you control and in your graveyard. Return them to the hand. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect, you can set this card. So that's the same White Forest type effect. So, okay, the most obvious thing to compare this to is Woes of the White Forest. Actually, this is already in here. So the thing about Woes, right, is that Woes is more generically usable in basically every single scenario because there's no condition aside from that there has to be a legal target in your deck to summon. Now, if you were only on one Sylvie or only on one Rusia or, only one Sylvia, one Rusia, then it is possible for you to have issues with this when you're trying to synchro summon because you do need to successfully resolve the graveyard effect of Sylvia or Rusia to bring itself back out on their turn so that you can successfully complete the synchro summon because you're bringing out like an LZ or an Esteller. And in fact, because we have Azamina LZ of the White Forest now, this effect about being sent to the grave as synchro material doesn't have to be on your turn. It can be on any turn. So you probably will want to... You probably will actually maybe prefer to just be bringing this out as the main target so you can get another search unless you don't already have the Esteller or the LZ in rotation. And then you might want to put those in rotation instead. But basically what I'm saying is that as long as there's a target in your deck to summon out for this card, you can at least do something. Even if you aren't able to synchro summon because you don't have enough monsters on field, you could still bring out, for example, like a Sylvie, and the Sylvie would give you a search for something else. So... yeah, and then because this fusion summon is not a quick effect, like, bro, if this fusion summon was a quick effect, you could bring it out off of Woes and you could fuse in their turn, and that would be crazy. But yeah, this requires that you have been able to play, so this is like technically win more. And it says target cards on the field up to the number of fusion and synchro monsters, but they have to be Fiend, Illusion, or Spellcaster you control and in your graveyard. And return it to the hand. So this effect is obviously like, it's probably mostly better than Woes because Woes will normally be bringing out the Silvera for a Book of Eclipse. There are cases where you bring out Arciela either because you want protection from like Dark Hole or Raigeki and you also have like a Diabelle on field, for example. Or you might not have gotten to Diabelle and you're bringing out the Diabelle on their turn, but I think usually you're going to be bringing out Silvera. So the question is Book of Eclipse better or worse than a Bounce? And I think the Bounce is probably stronger. You also can target cards on the field. So, if your opponent activates like a field spell that they can only activate once per turn or whatever, and they activate the field spell, you could bounce the field spell, And it's also target cards on the field up to the number of fusion and synchro monsters. It's not like it has to be exactly 3 like that other garbage card from before. So I think this card is not bad. But I think Woes is just generically more safe to have. And then it becomes kind of confusing because it's like, okay, if you're going to main one Woes, do you really want to main another trap card in your main deck? So you have more chance of drawing a trap card going second? I don't think you want to do that. So then maybe the place for it is one of in the side deck. And now you're getting to the point where there are already a lot of in-engine side deck cards that... you want in your side. Like Scourge, this card is necessary in your side deck at 1, in my opinion. Slumber, I think this card is pretty good. This is also a trap card. The Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, if you're playing this would be in your side deck. There might be a target for it if you're doing the Jowgen cheese. So you already have like a bunch of stuff in your side deck. So that's the only problem. So I feel like this card it's not like amazing. I think it's usable and you could play it. And maybe you could debate for playing this over Woes. But I feel like Woes is probably going to be more reliable at the end of the day. So anyhow, that's my general take on the cards. I'm going to have a brief look and see if it makes any sense to put in like a small Snake Eyes engine for additional pressure, maybe trying to use Snake Eyes Dam Dragon. But that's my overview of the new support, and thanks for watching.